The heavenly scene that you have witnessed earlier begins to materialize before your eyes. But this time, it is different. It's as if you're being pulled into the vision itself, becoming part of it. The celestial hall expands around him, vast and majestic. The crystal sea beneath your feet pulses with divine energy, each wave reflecting fragments of untold history. The air vibrates with anticipation, loaded with infinite possibilities. Last time, we witnessed a breathtaking heavenly scene, the Lamb of God being declared worthy to open the sealed book. Before his eyes, the scene unfolds again. The Lamb, majestic and humble at the same time, advances towards the throne. In his hands, the sealed book pulsates with a restrained power, as if it enclosed within itself the destiny of all creation. You feel the weight of that moment, the cosmic tension that preceded the declaration that the Lamb was worthy. Relive the relief and joy that flooded the celestial hall when the impasse was finally resolved. But what happens when those seals are finally broken? The scenario around him changes. The book in the hands of the Lamb expands, filling his entire field of vision. The 7 seals pulsate with a light of their own, each containing universes of possibilities. You see the Lamb prepare to break the first seal, and you feel as if you are standing on the edge of a cosmic precipice, about to plunge into realities not yet revealed. Get ready for a journey that will traverse time and space, revealing God's plans for humanity and the cosmos. Suddenly, you find yourself traveling through a tunnel of light and shadow. Glimpses of history pass you by in a dizzying kaleidoscope. The creation of the universe, galaxies forming from the void. The Garden of Eden, perfect and untouched. The fall of humanity and the promise of redemption. The flood, Noah's Ark floating over a transformed world. The Tower of Babel, the confusion of languages. The call of Abraham and the birth of a chosen nation. The Exodus, Moses raising his staff before the Red Sea. Kings and prophets, victories and exiles. The birth of a baby in Bethlehem, angels singing in the heavens. A cross on Calvary, the veil of the temple tearing. An empty tomb, the stone rolled away. Each scene is more than just an image. You feel it, you live it, as if you were there. The story of redemption unfolds not just before your eyes, but through you. What you're about to see will forever change. Your understanding of the past, present, and future. The time tunnel expands, and you find yourself floating above planet Earth. But it's not just the physical globe that you see. Layers of reality overlap. Prayer lines, shining like threads of gold, intertwining around the planet. Spiritual battles being fought in unseen realms. The advance of the gospel as a wave of light, crossing continents and cultures. The suffering of the martyrs, every drop of blood shed nourishing the seeds of the church. You realize that the story is not linear, but multidimensional. Each event in time is connected to countless others, forming a complex tapestry of divine purpose. The scene changes once again, and you find yourself back in the celestial hall. The Lamb is about to break the first seal. The anticipation is palpable, electric. Are you ready to dive into the divine mysteries that are about to be revealed? You feel the weight of this question. It is not a matter of mere intellectual curiosity. It is an invitation to a transformative journey, a call to see beyond the veil that separates the temporal from the eternal. As the Lamb moves his hand toward the first seal, you understand. What you are about to witness is not just information about the future. It is a revelation that has the power to redefine your understanding of reality, of purpose, of destiny. You are about to see the unfolding of the divine plan, not as a distant observer, but as an active participant. Each broken seal will not only reveal future events, but also illuminate eternal truths that have the power to transform your life here and now. With a racing heart and an open mind, you prepare for the moment when the first seal will be broken. The journey is just beginning, and you know that nothing will ever be the same after that. The internship is set up. The Lamb is ready. The divine mysteries await their revelation. And you're about to embark on the greatest adventure of all, the discovery of God's eternal secrets. The countdown begins. The first seal is about to be broken. Are you really ready? The The celestial hall trembles with anticipation. The Lamb, with deliberate and gracious movements, stretches out his hand toward the first seal of the mysterious book. You hold your breath, feeling that you are about to witness something that transcends human understanding. With a gentle gesture, but charged with divine power, the Lamb breaks the first seal. The sound that follows is not a mere pop or pop. It is as if the very fabric of reality is being torn. A wave of pure energy sweeps through the celestial hall, causing the crystal floor to ripple beneath his feet. The stars above appear to blink in a frenzied sequence, as if they are rewriting entire constellations. And then, you listen. A voice that is not a voice. It is as if one of the four living beings is speaking, but the sound does not come from a specific direction. It is omnidirectional, reverberating through time and space. Come and see. Before you can process what's happening, the scene before your eyes transforms. The celestial hall expands, becoming a vast cosmic battlefield. The horizon stretches infinitely in all directions, merging heaven and earth into one otherworldly canvas. And then he appears. A rider mounted on a white horse appears on the horizon. But simply calling him Knight does not do justice to the sight before you. He is the very embodiment of conquest, of victory, of absolute triumph. The white horse is not only white, it is of a purity that defies description. Every step he takes leaves a trail of light that seems to purify the very air. Their manes are not made of hair, but of white flames that dance in the wind of a heavenly breeze. The knight, in turn, is a figure of indescribable majesty. His armor shines with a brilliance that is not of this world, reflecting not only light, but truth and righteousness. On its head, a crown that seems to contain entire galaxies within itself. In his right hand, he wields a bow, but it is not an ordinary arc. It is as if it were made of the very substance of creation, capable of shooting not only arrows but divine decrees that shape reality. As you watch, amazed, the rider begins his ride. Every gallop of his white steed resonates not only across the battlefield, but through the ages. You see empires rise and fall in your wake. Civilizations flourish and decay in the time of a single beating of their wings. With each advance of the night, you see scenes unfold. Entire armies surrender without a single drop of blood spilled, simply falling to their knees before the majesty of the night. Crowns are laid at the feet of the white horse, kings and emperors recognizing an authority superior to their own. National borders dissolve like lines in the sand, redrawing the map of the world according to a larger plan. But it's not just physical achievement that you witness. As the night progresses, you see, hardened hearts melting, surrendering to a truth greater than themselves, closed minds opening up, illuminated by a wisdom that transcends human knowledge, lost souls finding their way back, guided by the light emanating from the knight and his mount. You begin to understand. This is not just an earthly conqueror. This is the irresistible advance of the gospel through the ages, the triumphant march of the kingdom of God. Every arrow fired from his bow is a word of truth that pierces the hearts of men. Every footprint left by his horse is an indelible mark of the divine presence in human history. As the night approaches you, you feel your heart race. It is not fear that you feel, but a deep reverence and an electrifying anticipation. You know in the depths of your being that you are facing a manifestation of God's own will unfolding through history. The night passes you, so close that you could touch the white flames emanating from his steed. For a brief moment, his eyes meet those of the night. In that look, you see ages of history, the patient persistence of the divine plan, and a love so deep and all-encompassing that it makes your heart almost explode. And then, as fast as he appeared, the night moves on. But you know that your journey is far from over. He will keep riding until every knee bends and every tongue confesses the sovereignty of the King of Kings. As the vision of the rider of the white horse fades, you find yourself back in the celestial hall. But something has changed. You are no longer just a spectator. Now you understand that you are part of this grand narrative of conquest and redemption. The first seal was opened, and with it, a new understanding of God's plan for history. But you know this is just the beginning. 6 seals still await, each promising to reveal more of the divine mysteries. With your heart racing and your mind expanded, you prepare for what will come next. The rider of the white horse has ushered in this epic journey, but you intuit that even greater challenges and even deeper revelations lie ahead. The cosmic cavalcade has begun, and you, dear viewer, are at the epicenter of this divine drama that is unfolding before your eyes. Still reverberating with the sight of the white knight, you barely have time to catch your breath before the lamb moves again. With a gesture that seems to contain both regret and purpose, he reaches out his hand toward the second seal. The air in the celestial hall becomes dense, almost suffocating. It is as if all of creation is holding its breath, anticipating something terrible and necessary at the same time. The lamb breaks the second seal. This time, the sound is not of reality tearing apart, but of something much more visceral. It's the sound of metal against metal, of swords being drawn on millions of battlefields simultaneously. The crystal floor beneath his feet trembles, not with the pure energy of the first seal, but with the impact of countless feet marching to war. The voice of the second living being echoes, not as an invitation, but as an inescapable decree. Come and see. The scene before you transforms once again. The vast cosmic battlefield is now shrouded in a dense, oppressive red fog. The air smells of iron and smoke, of sweat and fear, and then it appears. From the midst of the scarlet mist, a rider emerges on a red horse. But to call this creature a horse seems blasphemous against nature. It is as if the very concept of conflict and violence had taken on equine form. The red steed is not the color of ruby or crimson. It is from the red of the freshly spilled blood, from the red of the embers that consume entire cities. Every step he takes leaves footprints of fire, setting fire to the very ground he passes through. The knight who rides him is a figure that makes his heart freeze. His armor is not made of metal, but seems to be forged from unresolved conflicts, ancestral hatreds, sworn, revenge. His helmet is crowned not with a feather, but with living flames that dance with unrestrained fury. In his hand, he wields a great sword, but it is not an ordinary weapon. It is as if it were made of the essence of the conflict itself, capable not only of wounding flesh and blood, but of cutting through alliances, of tearing the fabric of peace, of dividing nations and families. As you watch, horrified and fascinated, the knight begins his hellish ride. Every gallop of his red steed resounds like a rallying cry through the ages. You see scenes unfolding in quick succession. Nations that once lived in harmony now turn against each other. Borders becoming bloody battle lines. Families are divided, brother against brother, father against son. Love turning to hatred in the blink of an eye. Cities that were beacons of civilization become smoldering ruins. Peace giving way to chaos and destruction. But it's not just physical warfare that you witness. As the night progresses, you see conflicts of all kinds. Ideologies clash with the strength of armies, dividing societies and generating persecutions. Religions that preached love become instruments of hatred and intolerance. The truth itself seems to be at war, with lies and misinformation spreading like fire in dry straw. You begin to understand. This is not just an agent of earthly war. This is the embodiment of conflict in all its forms, the manifestation of the human capacity to turn against itself. Every swing of his great sword not only wounds bodies, but tears at the very fabric of society. Where the night passes, peace is taken from the land, replaced by an atmosphere of suspicion, fear, and hostility. As the night approaches, you feel a primal fear take hold of you. It's as if every conflict you've ever experienced, every harsh word you've ever uttered, every angry thought you've ever harbored is coming to life and riding toward you. The night passes you, so close that you can feel the scorching heat emanating from his infernal steed. For a brief moment, his eyes meet those of the knight. In that gaze, you see the bloody history of humanity, man's tragic ability to turn against his neighbor, and an emptiness so deep that it makes his soul scream in anguish. And then, the knight moves on, leaving a trail of destruction and conflict in his path. But you know that your journey is far from over. He will continue riding, challenging humanity to find a path of peace amidst the chaos he sows. As the vision of the rider of the red horse fades, you find yourself back in the celestial hall. But something has changed inside you. You are no longer just an observer. Now, you understand the weight of the choice between peace and conflict, the power of your words and actions to build bridges or erect walls. The second seal was opened, and with it, a new understanding of the fragility of peace and the terrible reality of human conflict. But you know that's just part of a bigger plan. 4 seals still await, each promising to reveal more of the mysteries of the divine plan. With a heavy heart, but with a renewed determination to be an agent of peace in a conflict-prone world, you prepare for what comes next. The rider of the red horse has left his indelible mark on human history, but you intuit that even greater challenges and perhaps deeper hopes lie ahead. The cosmic cavalcade continues, and you, dear viewer, stand at the epicenter of this divine drama that is unfolding, called not only to observe, but to respond to the challenge presented by each seal that opens. The echo of the red horse's hooves has barely dissipated when you notice the lamb moving again. There is a sadness in his eyes, an infinite compassion that contrasts with the severity of what he is about to reveal. With a solemn gesture, he extends his hand to the third seal. The air in the celestial hall becomes heavy, almost palpable. It is as if an invisible shadow is spreading, swallowing light and hope. You feel a growing emptiness in your stomach, a sense of deprivation that goes beyond the physical. The lamb breaks the third seal. The sound that follows is not one of war or destruction, but equally disturbing. It is the collective groan of millions of empty stomachs, the silent cry of hungry children, the desperate whisper of prayers for bread that never comes. The crystal floor beneath his feet seems to wither, like a field parched by drought. The voice of the third living being resounds, not as a battle cry, but as a lament. Come and see. The scene before you transforms once again. The vast cosmic battlefield is now a desolate plain. Where once there was life and abundance, now only cracked earth and withered vegetation remain. The sky above is an oppressive gray with no promise of rain. And then it emerges. From the middle of the barren landscape, a rider emerges on a black horse. But calling this creature a horse is an understatement for the horror you witness. It is as if hunger itself had taken on an equine form. The black steed is not the color of ebony or midnight. It is a black that absorbs all the light, all the hope. Their eyes are bottomless pits of insatiable need. Every step he takes makes the earth even more barren, sucking life out of the soil like a cosmic parasite. The knight who rides him is a figure that makes his heart tighten with despair. He doesn't wear armor, but rather rags that seem made of shattered dreams and unfulfilled promises. His face is a mask of eternal hunger, sunken cheeks and sunken eyes that reflect the misery of countless hungry souls. In his hand, he holds a scale, but it is not an instrument of justice. It is the relentless scales of scarcity, weighing every grain as if it were gold, measuring human life in miserable rations. As you watch, with a mixture of horror and helpless fascination, the knight begins his dark ride. Every gallop of his black steed resonates like the beating of a hungry heart. You see scenes unfolding in a harrowing sequence. Once fertile fields turn into deserts, crops withering before they ripen. Thriving cities become shadows of their former selves, their inhabitants reduced to walking skeletons in search of crumbs. Markets that were once plentiful now display empty shelves, while desperate crowds scramble for scraps. But it's not just physical hunger that you witness. As the night progresses, You see scarcity in all its forms. Entire economies collapse, the value of money evaporating like water in the desert. Inequality grows to unimaginable levels, with a few accumulating obscene wealth while multitudes languish in poverty. Knowledge and wisdom become rare commodities, with ignorance spreading like the plague. You begin to understand. This is not just an agent of earthly hunger. This is the embodiment of scarcity in all its manifestations, the embodiment of the unjust distribution of the earth's resources. Every movement of your scale not only measures food, but weighs the value of human life. Where the night passes, abundance is replaced by deprivation, generosity by greed, hope by despair. Suddenly, you hear a voice. It is not the rider who speaks, but seems to come from the very air around him. 1 measure of wheat for a denarius, and 3 measures of barley for a denarius, and do not damage the oil and the wine. These words fall like hammers on your consciousness. You see exhausted workers receiving a wage that barely buys food for a day. It sees the poor struggling to survive on inferior grains, while the rich continue to enjoy their unspoiled luxuries. As the night approaches, you feel an overwhelming hunger take hold of you. It's not just your stomach that hurts, but your soul. It's as if every unmet need, every unfulfilled dream, every frustrated hope in your life is taking shape and riding toward you. The rider passes by you, so close that you can feel the glacial emptiness emanating from his being. For a fleeting moment, his eyes meet those of the night. In that gaze, you see the history of human inequality, the tragic reality of a world where some have too much, while many don't have enough. You see hunger not only for bread, but for justice, for meaning, for love. And then, the night moves on, leaving a trail of scarcity and despair in his path. But you know that your journey is far from over. He will continue to ride, challenging humanity to find a way to distribute the Earth's resources more fairly and equitably. As the vision of the Black Horse Rider fades, you find yourself back in the Celestial Hall. But something has changed inside you. You are no longer just an observer. Now, you understand the weight of responsibility that each one carries in a world of limited resources and unlimited needs. The 3rd seal was opened, and with it, a new understanding of the fragility of abundance and the terrible reality of human scarcity. But you know, that's just part of a bigger plan. 3 seals still await, each promising to reveal more of the mysteries of the divine plan. With a heavy heart, but with a renewed determination to be an agent of generosity and justice in a world prone to scarcity and inequality, you prepare for what comes next. The rider of the Black Horse has left his indelible mark on human history, but you intuit that even greater challenges, and perhaps deeper hopes, lie ahead. The cosmic cavalcade continues, and you, dear viewer, stand at the epicenter of this divine drama that is unfolding, called not only to observe, but to respond to the challenge presented by each seal that opens. Hunger and scarcity can ride, but compassion and justice also play a part in this grand narrative. The silence that follows the passage of the Black Knight is oppressive, charged with an even darker omen. You barely have time to process the horror of hunger and scarcity when you notice the Lamb moving again. This time, there is a gravity to his countenance that makes your heart freeze. With a gesture that seems to hold the weight of all mortality, he reaches out his hand to the 4th seal. The air in the Celestial Hall becomes toxic, almost unbreathable. It is as if death itself is exhaling its putrid breath, poisoning the surrounding atmosphere. You feel every cell in your body rebel against what you're about to witness. The Lamb breaks the 4th seal. The sound that follows is the most terrible of all. It is not a single sound, but a cacophony of horrors. The death throes of millions of last breaths, the wail of countless souls in agony, the deafening silence of lives abruptly interrupted. The crystal floor beneath his feet seems to decompose, like rotting flesh in accelerated time. The voice of the 4th living being resounds, not as a call, but as a final sentence. Come and see. The scene before you transforms one last time. The vast cosmic battlefield is now a panorama of utter desolation. The sky is a sickly yellow, like pus oozing from an infected wound. The air is full of ash and the smell of decomposition. And then it appears. From the middle of this apocalyptic landscape, a knight riding a yellow horse emerges. But to call this creature a horse is an insult to life itself. It is as if death himself had assumed equine form. The yellow steed is not the color of the sun or gold. It is a cadaverous yellow, the color of the skin of a body long abandoned by life. His eyes are empty, reflecting the final emptiness that awaits all creation. Every step he takes leaves a trail of decay, the earth itself dying beneath his hooves. The rider who rides it is a figure that defies understanding and paralyzes the soul. It is not a being of flesh and blood, but an ethereal entity, a personification of death itself. His cloak is not made of cloth, but of shadows and nightmares, rippling with the souls of the departed. Where there should be a face, there is only an emptiness that seems to suck up all light and hope. In a skeletal hand, he holds a scythe. It is not a harvesting tool, but the ultimate instrument of the separation of soul and body, capable of cutting the threads of life with terrible precision. As you watch, paralyzed by a primordial terror, the knight begins his final ride. Each gallop of his yellow steed resounds like the beating of the doomsday hammer. You see scenes unfolding in a sequence of unimaginable horror. Entire cities are decimated by plagues, bodies piled up in the streets like firewood. Battlefields turn into open-air cemeteries, the war taking its ultimate toll. Famine takes entire populations, generations disappearing in a matter of days. Natural catastrophes sweep continents, the land itself seeming to rebel against its inhabitants. But it's not just physical death that you witness. As the night advances, you see death in all its manifestations. Millennial cultures disappear overnight, languages and traditions dying with their last practitioners. Entire species go extinct, the web of life unraveling before their eyes. Hope dies in the hearts of the survivors, leaving only empty shells where once there were vibrant human beings. You begin to understand. This is not just an agent of biological death. This is the embodiment of the end of all things, the embodiment of mortality in its most absolute and ruthless form. Each stroke of its scythe not only reaps individual lives, but cuts through the very fabric of existence. Where the night passes, a quarter of the earth succumbs to his power. Death reigns through the sword, famine, pestilence, and the beasts of the earth. Suddenly, you notice something even more terrifying. Following closely behind the yellow knight, almost like a shadow, is Hades, the realm of the dead itself, open and hungry, swallowing the souls of those who fall before death. As the night approaches, you feel your own mortality weighing you down like never before. It is as if each moment of fragility, each narrow escape from death, each memory of its own finitude is taking shape and riding towards it. The night passes you, and the cold of the grave seeps into your bones. For an eternal instant, you find yourself staring into the void where the face of death should be. In that non-gaze, you see the ultimate destiny of all flesh, the great equalizer who makes no distinction between rich and poor, strong and weak, righteous and wicked. And then the night moves on, leaving a trail of final destruction in his path. But you know that your ride is continuous, incessant. He will continue his gallop through history, reminding humanity of its fragility and challenging it to find meaning in the face of the certainty of the end. As the vision of the yellow horse rider fades, you find yourself back in the celestial hall. But something has fundamentally changed within you. You are no longer just an observer. Now, you carry the weight of knowing the finitude of all things, but also the responsibility to live each moment with purpose and meaning. The fourth seal was opened, and with it, a new understanding of the inescapable reality of death and the fragility of all existence. But you know that's just part of a bigger plan. 3 seals still await, each promising to reveal more of the mysteries of the divine plan. With a heavy heart, but with a renewed determination to live each day as if it were your last, to love deeply and to seek what truly matters, you prepare for what will come next. The rider of the yellow horse left his indelible mark on human history, but you intuit that even in the face of death, there is a hope that transcends the grave. The cosmic cavalcade continues, and you, dear viewer, stand at the epicenter of this unfolding divine drama, called not only to observe, but to respond to the ultimate challenge presented by mortality. Death can ride, but life, love, and purpose also play a role in this grand narrative. And maybe, just maybe, there's something beyond the last gallop of the yellow horse. The silence is heavy when the lamb breaks the 5th seal. This time there is no horse, no rider. Instead, you see under the heavenly altar the souls of those who have been slain because of God's word and the testimony they have given. They cry out with a loud voice, "How long, O holy and true sovereign, do you not judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth?" Each of them was given a white robe and told to rest a little longer, until the number of his fellow servants and brethren who were to be slain as they were was completed. This sight touches his heart deeply. You see the faces of those who sacrificed everything for their faith, from the early Christian martyrs to those who, even today, face persecution and death for Christ's sake. His stories of courage and faithfulness inspire and challenge him. You ask yourself, would you have the same strength to remain faithful in the face of such adversity? The vision serves as a powerful reminder that the path of discipleship sometimes requires great sacrifice, but it also promises great reward. With a solemnity that shakes the very foundations of heaven, the Lamb breaks the 6th seal. What follows is a scene of cosmic proportions that defies comprehension. A great earthquake shakes creation. The sun becomes black as sackcloth. The whole moon becomes like blood, and the stars of heaven fall to the earth, as when the fig tree, tossed by a strong wind, drops its green figs. The sky recedes like a scroll that rolls up, and all the mountains and islands are removed from their places. The kings of the earth, the great, the commanders, the rich, the powerful, and every slave and every free hide in the caves and among the stones of the mountains. They cry out to the mountains and to the stones, "Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of their wrath has come, and who can stand?" This apocalyptic vision is a vivid portrayal of divine judgment and the radical transformation that is to come. It is a reminder that there will come a day when every injustice will be righted, every evil will be judged, and creation will be renewed. But before the 7th seal is opened, the vision is interrupted. You find yourself back in your familiar world, but forever changed by what you witnessed. Shocking. Conclusion. Dear friends, what we are witnessing today leads us to an inescapable conclusion. History is not a blind coincidence, but a cosmic drama directed by the loving hands of a sovereign God. The seals reveal that despite the challenges and tribulations we face, God's plan for the redemption of mankind and the renewal of creation moves forward inexorably. The visions we share are a call to vigilance, faithfulness, and hope. They remind us that no matter how bleak the present may seem, the future belongs to God. The Lamb who was slain is the same one who reigns victorious and who will one day make all things new. So what do we do with this revelation? We live each day with the awareness that our choices and actions have eternal consequences. We keep our faith steadfast, knowing that the Lamb has already won, and we share the message of hope with a world that desperately needs it. Remember, you are not just a spectator in this cosmic drama, but an active participant. May the revelation we witness today inspire you to live with purpose, courage, and love, in anticipation of the day when the last seal will be opened and the kingdom of God will be fully established. Until then, keep your eyes fixed on the Lamb, for he is worthy of all praise, honor, and glory, forever and ever. Amen.